This is the Nories Hulachat. This is a relatively new bladed jig to the market that is supposedly the deal. And supposedly it's even better than the jackhammer. And the biggest reason, this is supposed to come through wood cover a lot better than the jackhammer. But is that just marketing, or is it actually something that is real? So today in this video, I'm gonna be putting it to the test. We're actually going to be fishing both of these baits, casting in the exact same laydowns and stumps and logs to see which one gets hung up more. I'm basically going to give a point for each time one of these baits comes through the cover, and it's going to get 0 points if it gets stuck. All right, so it's pretty simple. I just came up on a laydown right in front of me that I think could potentially be holding a bass. And so I'm gonna take this Nories Hulachat, I'm gonna toss it up there. I'm gonna bring it down the laydown. Hopefully it doesn't get hung. Maybe it will get hung. We're about to see that. And then as soon as I make a cast with that one, bring it back, I'm gonna cast the jackhammer in the exact same place and try to bring it down the exact same way to see if it doesn't get hung up. So first off, the Hulachat, I'm gonna cast it kind of to the right-hand side of that laydown. I was off by about 1.5 feet. Gonna bring it right across kind of the very end of this thing. So as you can see, it is actually coming through it pretty well. That wasn't too bad. So I was a little bit off to the right on that cast. That's actually where I'm gonna try to put the jackhammer. Same exact place. I was about 1.5 feet, 2 foot. I would say that's almost identical right there. So we're gonna bring it through and see if it doesn't get hung up at all in the laydown. So I'm hitting the laydown right now, and jackhammer didn't get hung up. All right, so that's 1 of 1. Both of them came through it without getting hung up. I also have on what I would think is the worst trailer for getting hung up, which is the Yamamoto Seiko. This is probably my #1 chatterbait trailer, the one that I throw a ton when I'm around grass, but in wood, it is the worst, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, I just came up on another set of laydowns. It's actually 3 different logs that are kind of fingered out, laying across the bottom. So I'm gonna actually cast these baits almost perpendicular to the log themselves to try to get it to hit on each of the 3 different logs to see again if one doesn't get hung up. So first is the Nories bait. I'm taking into account where that hit. I just went over 1 log, just went over the 2nd log, and here comes a 3rd one. Okay, Nories came through that really good without getting hung up. So boom, it gets a point right there. Next up is the jackhammer. Again, I'm gonna try to hit the exact same spot, which was right there. All right, here comes the jackhammer. Just came over the 1st log, just came over the 2nd log, and came over the 3rd log. All right, so far 2 kind of main laydowns. Both of these baits get a point. They're both tied, they're both coming through, which is actually better than I had expected so far. So let's just keep on moving on. All right, we have come up on another laydown. To me, this is definitely the type of laydown where this thing should get hung up. This is a very sticky, branchy, it's not like a 3 and 4 inch log type laydown. It is very sticky. So I would imagine that this thing's gonna get hung up. There's really only one, I would say, clear path through it, which is right up here. So I'm gonna make that same cast again. Nories first, and then the jackhammer. Make that cast just like that, and coming on through, oh, look at that. Okay. The other thing I wanna see is will it come back? All right, so just got hung up with the Nories bait. I'm actually just gonna pick up the jackhammer, and although my bait is hung up in there right now, I'm gonna make a cast with the jackhammer because I don't really wanna lose my position. So let's make a cast. That was a bad cast. That was not where the Nories went. So let's make a cast that I would say is almost perfect. And we're gonna bring it through there. See if it doesn't get hung up as well. Ooh, I think I just went over the log where the Nories got hung up. And look, the jackhammer actually came through. Okay, so that's 1 point for the jackhammer and a big 0 for the Nories. So maybe the Nories isn't the deal. Let's just keep on keeping on. I'll tell you what, I found out about the Hulachat actually from a professional angler over on Gills TV. Gills TV is actually an app and website that is devoted to helping anglers learn how to go about finding fish, because guess what? You can have the best lure, you can have the best equipment out there, but if you simply don't know how to get around the fish, you're never going to catch them. So if you guys want to help support the Bass Fishing HQ channel, check out Gills TV. You can watch some of the best anglers in the world as they are breaking down new bodies of water to see their exact process that they go through. So I'm gonna leave some links down below in the description. Okay, we actually have laydown number 4 here. This is a very sticky, gnarly one, like that last one we just fished. There's actually 2 places on this particular laydown I want to hit. One is there's kind of a main trunk that I can see right here that I would definitely like fish if this was me actually fishing. So I'm going to cast right through there from this angle, and then I actually want to hit the very end. There's just some really sticky, brushy stuff on the end. I would expect it to get hung there. So this is actually going to be a flip cast right there, almost to that stump, and I'm just going to bring... Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I totally just got railed by a fish. No hookup though. All right, let's try this again. Bring it right over. Okay. I totally just got popped by a bass right there. Okay, the Nories just went through there. No problem at all. Do the same thing with the jackhammer. Okay. All right, well, now it's the jackhammer's turn. Okay, kind of the same result, but the opposite of the very last time. Nories came through fine, jackhammer got hung up this time. So that brings I think the score up to 3-3. So we'll just keep on going. I'm gonna have to get this unhung before I cast over there. Okay, and just so you guys know, every time I'm going to make a cast, I'm putting down my Raptors in the back to try and keep my boat position the exact same. I'm trying to control as many variables as possible. I mean, I got the same rod, reel, line, same trailer. The literally only difference is the bait themselves. So I'm actually still on this one laydown. I'm gonna cast on the very end. It's very sticky, very branchy at the end. So I'm gonna cast right off the end, and we're gonna bring it right across the end. I would expect to get hung up here. Coming through the cover. I just almost got hung right there. Nope, just came on through. All right, not bad. Nories just came on through, keeping my foot in the same spot, and I'm gonna make a cast now with the jackhammer. So same thing, I'm really trying, you can kind of see me kind of yo-yoing this bait, not yo-yoing it, but I'm just kind of pulsing the bait through. Really trying to get it hang up. I just hit a branch there, but it came on through again. All right, so again, both baits get a point. It is now 4-4, and we're gonna keep on rolling. All right, we have several different laydowns right through here. The first one I wanna hit, you can see this one right directly in front of me. This is what I would consider a bad angle on this particular laydown. I'm kind of going to be bringing my bait on the back side, which would really, again, you're kind of almost coming not only perpendicular, but you're kind of coming into the crotch of the tree, which is really not ideal. So let's make a cast first with the Nories and let it sink for just a split second to get it down, and then I just slowly bringing that over. Just hit one, just hit another one. Hey, all right, it just floated right over there. Not bad at all. All right, Nories is good. Again, pick up the jackhammer. Gonna make the exact same cast. Let it sink, and we're gonna keep on bringing it through. So trying to come through the exact same places if I can. I just felt it hit, and it rolled on over. Perfect. All right, both of those, again, get a point. 5-5. Now I'm gonna stay in the same spot. Up just ahead, there's a log that's probably about 3-4 inches in diameter. That's pretty far away, and it's actually pretty close to the surface. It's probably only an inch or two. Something I hate when you're fishing though is when you make a long bomb cast into an area that you know is a little bit too shallow to get your boat, and then you get hung up there and you have to kind of go up there and get it. So this is kind of replicating that. So I'm gonna make a long cast, and now we're gonna just bring this bait right on over and see what happens. All right, the Nories literally just popped right over that. No problem at all. So that's good. I'm actually gonna fish this on back to see if I can't actually catch a fish too. All right, perfect. So Nories gets a point onto the jackhammer. Gonna make the same cast. I'd say that that was almost identical, and gonna bring this over to the top, and look, the jackhammer popped up right over it too. Okay, so another point for the jackhammer. So again, coming up on another laydown here. This is a good looking laydown. I'm gonna hit this at a good angle. So I'm gonna try to hit on the left-hand side and come through what's on the left-hand side there. So Nories is up first. There we go on the left-hand side. And we are hung right away. All right, well, Nories has hung up. So let's try to make this cast. Left-hand side, I would say that that was almost identical to the other one. And look at this. Oh, okay. Well, both of them got hung. Now I am double hung. All right, so no points for either of them right there. We've got another pretty big laydown right here. I would suspect that this bait's gonna get hung somewhere in here, the way that this thing is shaped. But where I really wanna get the bait is kind of under those green leaves. That's right there, kind of the deepest, darkest shade pocket. So that's where I'm gonna try to cast the Nories and bring it on through there because there's some wood that's all throughout there. And then I'm gonna turn around and again, do it with the jackhammer. So skipped it on up there and ooh, almost got hung. Okay. I did hit up against what felt like 2 logs under there. All right, let's skip this bait on up there and bring the jackhammer on down too. Okay, jackhammer came through as well. All right, coming up on another pretty small laydown, really good looking laydown though right here. We got the Nories in hand. I'm pretty close. I cast it right there at the tip of that one log, and I just hit that one log pretty hard, came on right on through. So these baits are actually performing a lot better than I suspected. Let's see what the jackhammer does. Cast it right at the tip of that one. I'm gonna try to bring it right on through this way. Uh-oh. Okay. I believe that gives the Nories the lead by 1 point. Oh, I got it off. All right, another good looking laydown. There's like 3 or 4 different branches that come out. This to me looks like a pretty hangy laydown. So got the Nories. Nories went over the first log, went over the second log, went over the third log, and 4th log. Wow, it just got all the way through. There was 4 or 5 logs right there that it just came through. Very hangy stuff. I'm surprised, honestly. Okay, next, jackhammer. Okay, jackhammer hung up on that one right there. Okay, so well, that puts the Nories ahead by 2 now. So, interesting. All right, here is another sticky looking laydown, but I just seen a big wake move up in there. It may have been a carp, maybe in a big bass. So I'm gonna skip this bait right up, or at least cast it right up to kind of that big tree that comes out and bring it right across the fork of that tree right there. So skipped it in. I even let it sink for a minute, and oh, it came on through. I thought it was about to get hung. It like stopped for a second. Nice, Nories. All right, let's do this one. Let it sink for a second and bring it on through. And jackhammer. Jackhammer came through that perfectly fine as well. Okay, so Nories is still ahead by 2. All right, this next tree, I'm pretty confident in. See this gnarly looking tree? I am pretty confident both baits are gonna get hung in this one. I would be very surprised if either of them make it through. And the biggest reason is if you look at that tree, it still has some bark on it that's kind of flaky. And when you have that flaky bark on a tree like that, those are the most hangy trees you will ever cast a bait in. So I'm gonna cast on the back side over there, kind of towards the green bush on the other side, and bring it real slow across the base of that tree kind of. So right there, let it sink. Oh, popped over that one. Okay. We didn't get hung on the tree, but we did get hung on a limb. So it made it past the place I thought it was gonna get hung, but it didn't go past that limb without getting hung. So the Nories is still in there, and I'm going to now bring the jackhammer on through, and that was a terrible cast. That was not gonna land where we wanted it to. Let it sink. All right, bringing it on through. Yeah, that is where I would have thought it was gonna get hung. Right there on the base of that tree. The Nories was actually able to come through that part, but it got hung on the branches after the fact. So I'm not gonna give a point to either bait. And now I have 2 baits to go get unhung, which is not fun. All right, coming up on a little sticky laydown that honestly, I don't know what's all there. All I can see is this one little stick hanging out and a few other to the left. So I'm gonna throw it through there. Again, I don't really know what's there. We got the Nories up first, like I've been doing. I'm gonna cast it, pass, let it drop for a second, then start my retrieve. And it is hitting branches like crazy. Oh, I thought I got bit for a sec. Okay. Wow. That came through there pretty good. I thought for sure it was gonna get hung. There was a lot of branches down there. All right, picking up the jackhammer again. And cast it out there past, let her sink. And we're gonna bring the jackhammer on through. Hitting up against stuff on the jackhammer. Ooh, very, very sticky. But hey, the jackhammer came on through. Good job, jackhammer. All right, I'm not sure what test number this is. I will leave them though down below. But we're coming up to a laydown here that are really kind of the type of laydowns that I just talked about that I hate. It is very shallow water right through here, like so much shallow that my trolling motor, I'm 40 foot away from my target, my trolling motor is already hitting the bottom. So if I were to get hung here, it would be a no-go. So in most situations, I would not throw a chatterbait here because I know that the likelihood of getting it hung is pretty high. I would rather pitch a Texas rig or something up there, but it's definitely a place I could see a bass being, a bass even spawning. So I'm gonna try to hit this laydown on the back side. There's a couple of big branches back there. That's also where I would expect a bass to be. And then I'm gonna hit it actually on the very end, kind of where it's sticky and it's branchy. So hopefully I don't get hung because it is going to suck to get that. So just came through. I'm actually gonna pop it over dry land. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a bass. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, well, I did not get hung, and I actually popped it over a dry stick. a stick that's out of the water. So that was impressive to me. I did kind of somewhat get hung on this limb here. That's not really the lay down I was targeting, but I didn't get hung. So let's cast it in the same spot, and gosh, please don't get hung. Okay, nice. Okay, that one was scary to me. I did not want to have to go up there. Okay, both those baits just came through pretty nice. Was able to get both of them to pop up over a dry stick. So that's great. All right, let's cast to the very end of it now. Right there, this is pretty sticky, pretty branchy. Already hitting some sticks. Coming through. Coming through. All right, that came through. Another point for the Nories. Let's try the jackhammer. Same spot. Gonna bring it on through. Hit up against the stick right there. Hit up against another stick. All right, nice. So Nories is still up, but only by 2. The jackhammer is coming through cover, actually a little bit better than I had expected it to. So, all right, so I got another little laydown. This time, a little dark spot, shade pocket there. I feel like a bass should be there. And we got this log that's laying perfectly perpendicular. So gonna make a cast up there with the Nories and pop it over that log. I think I'm gonna come across 2 different branches. Yep, came across 2 different branches. Popped right on over. The way that the jackhammer has been fishing, I feel like it does fairly well in this situation, but let's see. Okay, so right there, about to come across it, and yep, came right there across it. Okay, I kind of got close to this laydown, but I wanted you guys to be able to see it pretty good. But you can see there's like 3 different laydowns going, or 3 different kind of main logs that are going into the water this way. So I'm gonna cast kind of up under this bush and into the shade, just like that. And bringing the Nories down, just hit one, just hit another one, all kinds of cover right through here. Okay, I just came through it. That was great. That came through like a square bill. I mean, just bounced right off of everything in there, and no hang-ups. So let's make the same cast with the old jackhammer, and we're gonna bring it on through. Just hit up against one, came through. Just hit up against another one and didn't. Okay, that means that the Nories is up by 3 now. So far they've both been hung. The jackhammer has been hung more. We got us another pretty gnarly looking group of sticks right through here. If you can see right up there, there's kind of like a hole in between the sticks. So I'm gonna try to place my bait right in there, and I'm gonna come right across that X that's in the water. I would anticipate at least one of these baits getting hung up between all that stuff that's right there. So cast landed right where I wanted it to. Just came over one. Oh, okay. I knew that would get hung right there. So Nories is hung up once. Let's see about Mr. Jackhammer. All right, let's see about Mr. Jackhammer. Hit about the same spot, bringing it through. Okay. Jackhammer, I knew that I'd probably get hung. They got hung in 2 different places. The jackhammer got hung on the first log. The Nories made it past that log, but got hung in the second one. So, all right, we got one more lay down here. There's kind of like a broken off lay down log right there. I just want to hit that back side of it. So I'm gonna hit the Nories first, see if it doesn't scoot right up over there, which it does. I'm gonna hit this log down here too. Okay, I hit both logs. Kind of that one going to the left and the one kind of coming straight towards me. Let's grab this here chatterbait, try to get in the same position. And okay, coming up on the first one. Okay, we are hung. Okay, that does put the Nories up by 4. All right, we are back here with the final results of the test. One of the biggest questions that I wanted to answer is, would the Hulachat actually replace the jackhammer? And I must say that when I'm fishing around wood cover, laydowns, wood stumps, even wood dock posts, I do think that I will be picking up the Hulachat more than the jackhammer. And the biggest reason is simple. Out of 20 wood laydowns that I fished, I was able to fish the Hulachat through them very cleanly 80% of the time. 16 out of 20 laydowns. Now, when it comes to the jackhammer, I was actually only able to fish it through those 20 laydowns 60% of the time. 12 out of 20. So there was a 20% difference in these baits as far as getting it through wood cover. Now, wood cover is only one type of cover that is on a lot of the lakes that we fish. And one of the biggest places that I like to fish a jackhammer, a chatterbait style bait, is around grass. And I must say that in grass situations, I'm probably gonna be throwing a jackhammer still a lot. I have not fished the Hulachat around grass, so that might be another video that I do to see how this bait comes through grass in comparison to the jackhammer. Now, one thing that I did want to leave you guys with, because I had mentioned it at the very beginning of this video, is that I said that the Yamamoto Seiko was probably one of the worst trailers to use when fishing around wood cover. And the biggest reason for that is because this particular bait is shaped a lot like a shad. It is taller than it is wide. And so when you bring this over a branch, over a limb, that tallness of the trailer actually forces the bait to roll over and catch and get hung up. So a simple fix to that situation, if you are fishing a jackhammer, because Hulachats are really hard to come by, all you have to do is use more of a flatter style trailer, something like a beaver, something like a Strike King structure bug. If you have a bait that lays a little bit more perpendicular to the hook shank, it actually causes that bait to ride along that wood without it getting hung. So if you guys are fishing a jackhammer around wood cover, try that simple trick with your soft plastic trailer. It's going to come through that cover a lot better. Now, if you guys want to watch my full guide to chatterbait fishing, as well as hearing a lot of different chatterbaits under the water, you can watch this video right here. Also, if you want to check out more with Gills TV, learn how to find fish, click this link right here. I'll see you guys in the next one.